That night, neither of them slept well. The silence between them had grown to loud, stretching like a canyon they weren't sure how to cross. Days passed, and things remained unchanged. The cold distance between them became normal, like a wall neither of them had the strength to break down. Then, one evening, something unexpected happened. It was raining heavily outside. He was sitting in the living room, scrolling through his phone, when he heard a loud thud from the garage. He ignored it at first until he heard a muffled cry. His instincts kicked in, and he rushed to the garage. There she was, on the floor, holding her ankle. She had slipped on the wet floor while carrying a bag of groceries. For a moment, he hesitated. A part of him whispered she made her choice. Let her deal with it. But another part, the part of him that once loved her deeply, that still remembered the way she used to look at him, overpowered his pride. He knelt beside her. Are you hurt? She nodded, eyes glossy with unshed tears. I think I twisted my ankle. Without thinking, he scooped her up in his arms. She didn't resist. Instead, she rested her head against his shoulder, something she hadn't done in months. He carried her to the couch and gently placed a pillow under her foot. I'll get some ice, he murmured, already walking to the kitchen. She watched him in silence. When he returned, pressing the ice pack against her ankle, she whispered, I missed this. His hands stilled. He looked up at her, and for the first time in a long time, he saw something vulnerable in her eyes. I didn't mean to hurt you, she admitted. I didn't know how to talk about what I was feeling. He let out a slow breath. So, you shut me out instead. She nodded. And when you shut me out, I realized how much I relied on you. Not just for the things you did, but for you. He swallowed hard, staring at the ice pack in his hands. I wasn't trying to punish you, he finally said. I just didn't know how to handle being rejected by my own wife. Tears welled up in her eyes. I should have talked to you. I should have told you what I was going through instead of making you feel unwanted. He looked at her, searching her face. Is there still something left between us? She reached for his hand, squeezing it. There can be, if we're willing to try. For the first time in months, he felt the weight of resentment begin to lift. Maybe they couldn't erase what had happened, but they could rebuild if they chose to. And that night, they did. Not with grand gestures or passionate confessions, but with small, quiet steps toward each other. Moral of the story: communication is the foundation of any relationship. Silence, pride, and resentment can turn love into a battlefield. But healing begins when both partners choose to listen, understand, and reconnect. A marriage isn't about keeping score, it's about standing together, even when things are hard. Would you like a different,